Hey YouTubians, it's Tony here from We Try Anything, the channel that likes trying anything so you don't have to. In today's video, what we're going to take a look at is another watch from the Casio range, with this one being the CASIO AQ-S810W. Now, what is customary with some of the reviews that we have done on the Casios on the channel, we're going to take a look around the actual materials that the watch is made out of, mention some of the sizes that make up this watch, show you some of the functions, though we won't go too in depth because we will be posting a tutorial video or a how-to video very soon for this watch, but we'll quickly gloss over what this watch is capable of doing. We'll pop it on our wrist, and then what we'll say is what it's like to wear and own. Now, this watch is a watch that is available in many colours and many colourways of the dial as well, and I'm showing you a little image here just to show you just some of the actual iterations that the Casio AQ-S810 is available in, most of which you can get on Amazon. And there's quite a few. I mean, obviously it varies in price, but you know, they are available on Amazon, and it is quite a chunky watch. I mean, it is reminiscent of what would be a you know, it's quite close to what a G-Shock looks like. Now, this watch, you're looking at a plastic case, and with me purchasing this off eBay just to show you how some of these watches wear, you are missing some of the actual markings that are on this plastic case. It does mention at the top that it is a tough solar, and yeah, that's probably the main marking that is missing. But it is, as I've just said, it is what's known as a tough solar watch, and I'll talk about that in a bit. Now, the actual case, as I mentioned, it is a plastic case, and the size of the actual plastic case, because it is quite a bit large, large-ish watch, is around 47mm from edge to edge. I've measured from here to here. In terms of the top to bottom, or what would be lug to lug, you're looking at 52mm. Case thickness, I've measured from the bottom here to the top here, you're looking at 12mm. Probably add another couple of millimeters just for these sort of how can I say, raises in the actual cases, in the actual case. The strap, which is a nice thick resin strap, you know, it's got a nice wide resin strap to it, which is quite malleable. You know, it has got these little, as it were, raised elements of the actual strap to allow it to grip better onto the wrist. You're looking at a width at the top of 27mm, and then it tapers down to what would be the resin strap retainer and plastic pin and buckle. You're looking at about 21mm near the buckle. And it is quite a light-ish watch. It's not very heavy at all. In terms of weight, you're looking at about 41 grams, I believe, so it's not a heavy watch by any stretch of the imagination. And that's really it. I mean, the actual case, as I say, is reminiscent of what would be a G-Shock watch, and I do like that aspect of it. And to me, it is a bit more reminiscent of the AEQ-110. They're not far off the actual sizes, and obviously, as you can see, it's got all the elements listed on here, whereas they're quite worn off here. So, you know, as I say, it is an eBay watch, and I do like to show eBay watches because it does show wear. Now, it does have a flat resin acrylic glass, which is prone to scratching, as you can see here. Now, there's a lot more scratching on this dial window, but I have managed to get rid of it using polywatch. I mean, I'm probably just going to spend another about 10-15 minutes with a bit of polywatch just to get rid of that, but it has done a great job of this watch so far. As going on to the actual dial of the watch, I do like this dial. I really do, because it is simple. Now, just to quickly show the AEQ-110 here, I find this watch a lot harder to read, even though the dial is the actual dial itself is slightly bigger, because there's a lot more going on. Whereas this one here, just moving the AEQ-110 to the side, I find that so much easier to read, and to me, it really does look good. And what you've got here is, obviously, you've got the grey hour markers going on here, the minute markers in a nice thin white, and then you have the hands, which are painted white with lume on there, which is known as Neo Bright, looking at the Casio website. And also, you do have a very nice little, obviously with this being an analog digital watch, you do have two very nice displays, which you've got the time, and then you've got an indicator of how can I say, indicator of seconds and stuff like that going up there. Now, as I say, it is a tough solar, so you will notice that the actual background to the dial, which is a nice grey colour. Has like a nice inner marking to it, and behind that you will have the solar panel. Now, with it being a tough solar watch, I have had a tough solar in the past with the S810W, and I haven't had the best experience with that watch. But with this one, I've had it for a couple of weeks to say the least, and I've got to say it's been sat in a drawer waiting to be reviewed, and I've been doing a bit of research on this, and it hasn't lost any sort of power. It's always kept the time, that hasn't reset, nothing has gone wrong with it, and it has, as I said, sat in a drawer ready for me to start reviewing and popping on my wrist and wearing, really. So that's testament. This one does work, whereas the other one, I don't know what went wrong with it. It just kept resetting and stuff like that, which to me was a shame, really. But again, you know, this one works no problem. Now, just mentioning the tough solar, it's meant to have, from brand new, I will mention that this brand new, I'm not sure about this one because it's obviously had some use. It's meant to have 10 months on a full charge, and that's without further exposure to light, because that's how tough solar works. The exposure to light allows the actual battery to recharge. Now, it will last 23 months on the rechargeable battery built into this watch, and that operation period is, I'm kind of mentioning this from the Casio website, when stored in total darkness with the power save function on. And the power save function does limit certain things on this watch, like the hands and stuff like that, just to conserve battery. So as I say, I mean, with this watch, I have had it in a drawer for a couple of weeks, and it's kept the time, really. I've never had a problem with it, and wearing it on the wrist, it's been great as well. I haven't had any reset problems or anything, so it does work on this watch. Now, but going back to the actual display, it does feature a very small LCD display, which you can see there. I'm just trying to get my camera to just focus on it a little there, and it is some people may find this a little bit fiddly to see, but I don't know, I find it quite clear. Now, obviously I'm wearing varifocal glasses, which will allow me to see this you know, the actual small digital display, and when I take it off, it is quite hard to see. But if you are short of sight, then it might not be the actual watch or display for you, but obviously you do have these lovely analog, quite bright hands to complement it, really. So, but I mean, with this actual digital display, it is packed full of very useful functions, really. And there is one function on this watch that it kind of surprised me, really, and I absolutely love, but I'll mention that in a minute. Now, as I say, there is lume on the hands, which I'm just showing you to the right here, how the actual lume works on this watch. And also there is an LED backlight to this watch, which I'm just pressing here, and again, I'm just showing you an example of it in semi-darkness. And this LED light does have a selectable illumination duration of 1.5 seconds or 3 seconds with afterglow. So, you know, again, you can get an idea of if the actual lume does die off in the middle of the night, you can press on the light button and it will show you the actual time or whatever you've set it to going on here. Now, the other features it does have is that it is a Japanese quartz movement that powers the actual time on this watch, and it has an accuracy of plus and minus 30 seconds each month. The water resistance, and I'll show you on the back, the water resistance, it is 10 bar, as you can see here, which is 100 meters. And also, just I haven't mentioned, it does have a module number of 5208. So, you know, there is quite a bit to it, and obviously it does feature that very nice stainless steel affair that Casio does put on a lot of their watches. The other thing as well, you can mute this watch with the button tones and stuff like that. You just have to go through the adjust function you know, if you was to adjust the time, you just cycle through the adjust function to turn that on and off. And also you can turn it on and off 24 and 12 hour on this watch as well. It is feature packed. Now, just as I mentioned the features or the functions of this watch, it also has an auto calendar. So once you've set it, it'll always display the correct date, including leap years and stuff like that. So, you know, another great function, like a fire and forget calendar, if you will. Now, just quickly showing you some of the other functions of this watch, or the modes, as it were. You can see where the battery level is. Now, this is on high because of, obviously, I've kept it charged, but this has been high for the past couple of weeks with it being in a drawer. Prior to that, I did put it on a, as it were, on a window ledge just to make sure that the battery's topped up, and obviously it will go medium and low and then go into power conserve mode and stuff until it gets more charge really. So that's quite handy really. The other thing, it does have world time, and I've set it to New York at the minute, but what you can do is just by pressing this you can search through the many world time world time zones that this watch can do. I'm not sure how many. I mean, there is quite a few, but obviously you got Rio here. And the other great function I love about this watch is if you press the two buttons at the top left and top right, and you say fly to the likes of Rio or New York or anywhere like that, and you want the analog hands to feature the local time in that part of the world, if you press them two there, what will happen is that the actual minute and hour hands will cycle along to whatever time it is in that country. And I just love that fact. I mean, it is a nice little gimmick, and obviously seeing the actual hand and the minute hand and hour hand go around to that time is brilliant. And just wait for it to get to there, and there you go. So that would be the time in Rio. Now, to make it go back to what would be, say if you flew back to London, which is the local time here, you just press it again, and what it'll do, it'll just cycle back through to what the time I'm actually recording this video at, which is 1:21 in the afternoon. And it is just so good for that function alone. And it really did shock me when I learned about how to do that, because you know, you don't get it on any watches. Like for example, again, I have it to hand, this Casio here, where you've got the hand setting mode and you have to physically set the hands yourself, and it doesn't marry up with the digital display. Now this is the first watch that I have featured on this channel where it does have it, and also it will do it when you adjust the time. So if you press the adjust time on here and go through the timekeeping mode to adjust the hours and the minutes, when you stop doing it, the actual analog part, or the analog part of the actual watch as it were, will adjust automatically to whatever time you set it to. I was so chuffed with that fact that you wouldn't believe, because obviously when there is obviously in the UK we go forward an hour or backward an hour depending on if it's autumn or in the summer for daylight saving time. On some of these watches again, you have to go all the way around the dial to get it back to, you know, whatever time it is, based on whether we've gone back an hour or forward an hour. On this one, it just does it for you, you know, depending on what you've set the actual time to. And I just love that fact, and for that alone I'm sold on this watch. And simple things please simple people, but this definitely, it definitely blew me away when I seen that. Now it also features, let's get back to, it also features 5 alarms, and it will feature an hourly signal as well, which you can turn on and turn off like that, which means the actual watch will beep on the hour every hour. There is also a countdown timer which ranges from 100 hours, and it has a measuring unit of 1 second, and apparently it has 2 countdown timers. Now I haven't messed around with this at all, so I'll be honest with you, but if I'm going off what Casio say on this watch, and if it does, then that's obviously what they say on their website, but I can only see the one here, and I'm guessing if I press a couple of buttons it will probably change to 2, mentioning the other timer there. So it definitely rings true with this watch. But again, I'm doing a tutorial of this watch very soon. I'll go through that function, so just subscribe to the channel and find out more when I do release that video. It also has a stopwatch, and this stopwatch will go up to 24 hours, and it has a measuring mode of elapsed time, split time, and it will measure in units of a hundredth of a second. So just set that off, and obviously you can see the secondary display just going up through the seconds, just to make sure, you know, make you aware that the actual stopwatch is running. And obviously as usual, just reset, and obviously you press that for lap time as well. So you know, if you wanted a little stopwatch just to measure things, like you know, you got the countdown timer as well for food, cooking, people running, you running, etc., then you know, a fully featured watch. And then what you also have is you can change, let's go back on the what would be timekeeping mode. You can change, if I press this button here, you can allow the actual display to mention the time that's going on locally to you, as well as the actual analog hands as well. And also you can have it feature the day of the week that you're on, and if you press search again, you can actually have the date as well, and it will always show you the seconds on the right. So there's a lot to this watch, and there's a lot to take away from this watch. And I'll be honest with you, I definitely prefer this watch over this one. I do still, even though the hands are a little touch bigger, there's more loom to it, I just find this watch quite busy really. But in comparison to this watch, it's so easy to use really, and so easy to glean the time from. And don't get me wrong, if you are interested in a watch like this, then go ahead, go for it. But the actual displays are a touch bigger, and you do have two digital displays as that display certain things, as opposed to the one where it's just got the date, the time and wherever the modes are. But it doesn't feature the hands going around. You have to set that yourself, and I don't know, I just think this watch is superior, and it is £10 more. I have seen it online, £10 more compared to what this watch is. But if you've got that extra bit of money, I wouldn't hesitate in this watch, and that's before I even wear it. So I'll just thought I'd mention that to you. So the next thing is, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pop it on my wrist and say what it's like to wear. On the wrist, I'm quite surprised how comfortable this watch is. I mean, it is quite a largish watch, because obviously I've measured the lug to lug, but these are a little bit proud as well. The actual strap itself, does stick out a touch more than the actual watch itself. But because it's flat, it does feel all right. I mean, obviously I can feel it on my wrist, because it is quite a large-ish watch at 47mm wide, and obviously, as I've mentioned, top to bottom is 52, not including this would make it wider. But in terms of looks, I mean, I just think it's really nice, and it's got that G-Shock element to it, and it's just, I mean, it would look a bit more sporty if you could see the tough solar and stuff like that mentioned on the watch. But I really, really, really like the look of this, and it is so easy to glean the time. And as I've mentioned, this watch is available in different colours. Also, you can customise this watch yourself. If you go on AliExpress, I think you can buy the actual case tops to these watches with the band. So if you bought this watch and you wanted a white one, then go on AliExpress and buy yourself one, and then just take these metal screws out, and then just put a new, as it were, case front on it. And I've got to say, for that alone, if you wanted to have something a bit more customizable with different colors and stuff like that, then this can happen. And there are videos that do actually highlight that. And if you do want to see a video of me doing that, then please say, and I'll gladly have a look into doing that for you. But other than that, it is comfortable. I mean, there's a little bit of, you can feel the watch when you move your hand around, but, that's obviously down to these pushers sticking out a bit proud of the actual watch. And, if that's a problem to you, then I'd probably look at a smaller watch, really. Something like, these sort of watches that Casio does. They've got a whole range, and I've featured a lot more smaller watches on this channel. But overall, and I have been talking for quite a while, overall, I would not hesitate in advising you to have a look at something like this. It's just so nice looking, so simple. The dial is clear, you can easily read the time, you've got a load of functions going on in this watch, just a load, and you've got that added benefit of tough solar. Now, as I said, I've never really had the opportunity, I've never really had a good experience with tough solar based on the S810W that I have featured on this channel and have tried to use in the past with it resetting. But this one, it's been faultless, and I've got to say, it really has renewed my interest in tough solar watches. So if you do get the chance to have a look at something like that, then it's available in multiple colors. I've got an Amazon link below, just so you can have a look more into these sort of watches. But if you are looking for a chunky, easy to read, quite function packed watch for around, I think I've seen it for around the £40 mark. It depends on where you get it from. I mean, you might be able to get it in a sale a bit cheaper than that. Then definitely a watch for you. But obviously, the only caveat is it is quite chunky on the wrist, and obviously with the band as well, it is quite a thick watch. So just be aware of that fact. But otherwise, such a great watch, and it gets a massive thumbs up from me. So I hope you liked the video, and if you did, then please click on the thumbs up icon there. And if you want to see more videos coming from the We Try Anything channel, and including a tutorial of how to use this watch coming soon, then click on the subscription button below. And thank you for watching this video, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Goodbye.